Everyone is present. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I would ask you to rise for the invocation that will be delivered by Pastor Mike Safford from the Vineyard. And Mr. Davis will do the flag. Thank you.
You want to mute me, Key, or you want to? No, are we good? Okay. Let's pray together. Father, we stand here tonight humbled by just the grace that you've shown us, by giving us such a beautiful city, not only to live in, but to steward, to take care of. We ask your wisdom tonight. You'd help us to do just that. We do recognize, Lord, that when we come together tonight, we come together by your mercy, by your goodness, to care for what does not belong to us. And we just want to do well with it, Lord, right with it, Lord. So we ask your wisdom in that, your discernment, your grace, your leading. We pray, Lord, that as big decisions are made tonight, your hand would lead in that. We ask for a spirit of commonality, mutuality, graciousness, peace, love and affection, one for another, as we care for this beautiful, beautiful valley. We're thankful for it, Father, and ask your gracious leading hand tonight. In your name we pray, Father. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. And Mr. Davies, will you please lead us in the flag salute?
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. All right, at this time, the Tehachapi City Council will appoint one member to the City Council to fill a vacancy created by the resignation of Council Member Kenneth Hedke on January 2nd, 2020. The appointment will expire following the November 2020 election. The City Clerk's office received applications from Steve Hamlin, Kim Nixon, David Blaine, and Christina Scrivener. And we will proceed with that process, and I'm turning it over to our election specialist.
Thank you. Honorable Mayor and council members, with the resignation of Councilmember Hedke on January 2nd, 2020, a vacancy was created on the City Council. On January 21st, the council directed staff to publish a notice of vacancy and appointment to hold office until the November election. The notice of vacancy was published 3 times in the Tehachapi News, on the city's website, and on the City Hall bulletin board. As a reminder, this is an at-large seat. The seat will not transition to district-based until the November election. Applications were received for 4 qualified candidates. That's Steve Hamlin, Kim Nixon, David Blaine, and Christina Scrivener. Before I invite them up to make statements, I'd like to give everyone an overview of the process for our appointment. After the candidates have made their statements, I will call for nominations. Each council member may nominate 1 candidate. Nominations do not need to be seconded. Once all nominations have been received, I will call for the vote for each nominee. Council members may only vote for 1 nominee. This will be done by roll call vote. The first candidate to receive 3 votes will be deemed appointed. If no nominee receives 3 votes, we will take another vote. Once a candidate is appointed, our city clerk will swear in the candidate, and we will have a brief recess in order for the newly appointed council member to take their seat. Before we move on, I just want to make sure everybody understands the process.
We good?
Yes.
Okay, so I will now call candidates up to make a brief statement. We will start with Steve Hamlin.
Honorable Mayor Wiggins and council members, thank you for the opportunity to be considered to serve alongside you as a member of the City Council. Took that down? Yeah. My name is Steve Hamlin. I grew up in a small town, farming ranching community in southern Oregon, about 15 miles from the California border. My family consists of my wife, Nicole, of just over 20 years. And we have two fantastic boys, Tyler and Tanner, who are students at Tehachapi High School and Jacobson Middle School. They're both excellent students and have been very active in the Park and Rec sports leagues. As a family, we're very active in the positive things happening in our community. We've had opportunities to serve in events such as Love Tehachapi, serve in the neighborhood improvement projects with the Tehachapi Police Department, and a variety, a whole bunch of different events through our church as well. We think it's very important to show the boys that service and active engagement in our community is part of who we are. It's our responsibility to the city, and it's our blessing to serve as well. It is along that line of thinking that I've submitted my name in consideration for this role. Professionally, my 21-year career as an engineer has been mostly in small aircraft manufacturing, and more recently in the aerospace sector. I've held progressive leadership roles in small, medium, and large businesses. My career has taken us to some pretty incredible places. We were most recently across the globe on the other side of the planet, in New Zealand. And when the time came back to move to the U.S., the family got together and decided where would we like to be. And we all wanted to come back to Tehachapi, so here we are. You'll also see on my resume I have quite a few years of different volunteer experience, both as a volunteer leader, and different elected volunteer leadership roles as well. I believe these experiences demonstrate my commitment to service, whether it's coaching soccer, building airplanes, or picking up trash in the community as well. My family and I love this community. I would consider it an honor to serve as a council member by bringing a positive and collaborative attitude to the council. I believe the city staff and council are leading the city in a very positive direction, and I would love to serve alongside you as we steward our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions from the council for Mr. Hamlin? Thank you.
All right, next we will have Kim Nixon.
Good evening, Mayor Wiggins and council members. You have my resume and application in front of you. My husband and I moved to Tehachapi in 1986, and our children went to school here. Shortly after moving here, I got very involved with the city. I have a long tenure on the Planning Commission, 3 different terms on the Planning Commission. I had the opportunity to chair the commission when we did the Safe Mart area and developed that. And social media was not big then, but I had very colorful messages left on my answering machine on my phone at home. I then led the Planning Commission through all the Walmart hearings. Shortly after that, there was an opening on the city council. I was appointed to serve on the city council to finish a term for 1.5 years, and then ran for election and was elected to a 4-year term. In the last 30-some years of living in Tehachapi, I have made it my focus to come alongside the city staff and the city government in Tehachapi to make this place the place that I want to call home, the place that I raise my kids. Tehachapi is my heart. We have brought a business up here and had a business here in Tehachapi that we moved from LA, and we've grown that business to 4 different branches. We employ 35 people, and we build engines for World War II aircraft all over the world. So we've traveled, we love what we do, and Tehachapi is moving in the right direction. I love the fact that, having served on the council, I've seen where budgeting is done in forward thinking. They do it 5 years at a time. Planning for our infrastructure is done with long-term planning. Our master plan is looked towards the future. So I think it's always important to remember our past so that we can plan for where we're going in the future. And I think the city staff and all the employees do that. I would be honored to come alongside and serve each of you in moving in that same direction. I also know that as a council member, I have to always remember that we serve the people and the residents who live in the city of Tehachapi. The decisions that we make affect the whole valley, but the residents in the city of Tehachapi are who we answer to and who we're responsible for. So I think I've been a good steward of their trust that's been put in me, and I would welcome your support to fill the seat on the council. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the council?
Kim,
Question?
you're on the planning commission as we speak, correct?
Yes.
And so if you got the position of city council, then would you leave that seat vacant?
Yes.
Is that true? Okay.
Yeah, that seat would be vacated and then it would be posted for an appointment from the council.
Okay. Just
All right.
like tonight. Okay,
Uh-huh.
thank you.
Davin Green.
Good evening, Mayor Wiggins and council members. My name is Davin Blaine. I was born and raised here by my grandparents, Skip and Sharon Maine. And they taught me the act of selfless giving through the community, through church. After graduating from Tehachapi High, I served in the United States Navy as an intelligence analyst. And after that, I came back to Tehachapi. I love it here, and I'm currently raising my family, my wife Emily, and we have a kid on the way. So I really just want to see the longevity of economic welfare and just Tehachapi going in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the council?
Christina Scribner.
Honorable Mayor Wiggins and City Council members, thank you for the opportunity to address you and share my interest in serving on the Tehachapi City Council. My name is Christina Scribner, and my address is 907 Aaliyah Lane. I have lived in Tehachapi for nearly a decade. My time and involvement in our community has given me a deep appreciation for the wholesome culture and values of our charming mountain town. My family and my dear friends are the reason I want to serve. I'd like to thank some of them for joining. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. I'd quickly like to look back before I look ahead. Larry and Patty Cosner are two of the most exceptional people I've ever known. I have the great privilege of calling them my parents. I was raised in Ridgecrest along with my 7 siblings with an abundance of love, everything we needed, but not everything we wanted. My grandmother, some of you know, Patricia Ferris, has published a news review for more than 40 years. She'll be 90 in April, and she still goes to work every day. My whole family has modeled what it is to build community. My father, Dr. Cosner, served on the hospital board for more than 20 years. My uncle Paul Ferris on an airport board, and my uncle Bill Ferris, who surprised me here tonight, has served on the Sierra Sands Unified School District Board for 30 years and is still serving. As a child, I remember taking tickets and selling programs for the many balloon festivals and air shows my grandmother put on. She was so passionate about showcasing the 350 days of sunshine that was so instrumental in supporting the success of China Lake's weapons development and testing that today continues to protect the globe. After September 11th, she started the annual Parade of 1,000 Flags, coordinating a powerful patriotic tribute, organizing 1,000 people marching with 3-foot by 5-foot flags through the streets. At 18, I joined the Ridgecrest Exchange Club and began following the model of getting involved in serving my community. Working hard for our family businesses, I bought a house at 21. I couldn't afford cable or eating out, but fortunately, I worked a shift at our family's restaurant almost every day. Thank you, Bill. And between working at my grandmother's newspaper and my father's medical group, I was not home to watch TV anyway. At 22, then Assembly Leader McCarthy asked that I join his team in Sacramento. From there, Kevin's wife Judy introduced me to a fellow named Zach, and as they say, the rest is history. Once I settled in Bakersfield, I continued my civic involvement in Exchange Club, and I also served as a founding member of the Ridgecrest Musical Enrichment Society, where I'm so proud that we raised $150,000 for my hometown's school performing arts programs. It's now time to get involved in the community of Bakersfield where I was living. I joined Republican Women and served on their board. Because of my brother's service and connection to China Lake and Edwards Air Force Base, I was proud to chair the committee sending hundreds of packages, of comfort packages to our soldiers overseas. Much of my life since then has been connected to Tehachapi. In 2009, I began working for Haushin Community Blood Bank, coordinating blood drives and raising awareness for the sincere need of constant supply of blood donations. I'm very proud of my work to champion a cause I believe in still to this day. As a result of my efforts, we tripled the units of blood donated in East Kern County. All this time, my husband was busy with his career, and we were raising our 2 boys. Once we moved to Tehachapi, we had 2 more children, and I now work for Advanced Health. I was hired to build the foundation from the ground up, and over the last 2 years, it has been my humble honor to have raised $3.6 million in pledges and gifts for a hospital to better support a community I truly love. Many people at my stage in life are focused on their career and family. I think what sets me apart is that while I indeed have a full life with a full career and family, I have shown that service is not an afterthought, it is a way of life. My family legacy of service and my life experience demonstrate my investment in community. I have a deep reverence for the generations that have done so before me. As a millennial, I have a lot riding on the future for myself and my 4 young children. My value system and my heart are very much in alignment with members of those clubs, groups, and committees that I served on as a young person. They modeled all that we love about the greatest generation. JFK said it so well: ask not what you can do for your country, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. I believe this council would benefit from my perspective. I've brought results in leadership that I have demonstrated. I'm seeking this appointment because I want to honor and celebrate the culture of Tehachapi for people like my dear friend, 94-year-old Jean Lance, and for my 4 young children and the future they will inherit. Thank you so much.
Any questions from the council? Thank you.
I will now open nominations. Again, nominations do not need to be seconded. Are there any nominations from the council?
I would just like to say thank you to all candidates. Whoever's nominated and wins the appointment, the city of Tehachapi will be, I think, well served by any of the individuals that came to the podium this evening and dared to put their name in the hat for this position. I have spoken to a couple of you. I've read the resumes. At the last election where Mr. Hetke had come in second, Ms. Nixon came in third by about 79 votes, about 1.5% behind. So you try to wrestle with, everyone is qualified to do this just because you were a citizen. And then beyond that, what you do for your community, all of you have stated things that you've done that go well beyond just being a parent and a citizen of the community. When this first began, I told Kim, I'll throw your name in the hat for a nomination. We'll see how this goes. But she did get 1,200 votes out of the 25, just 79 votes behind the other candidates. So that's how I came to it. I just trying to find a fair way of doing this, and there's no fair way because there's going to be tonight 3 people who could be disappointed. So I'll put Kim Nixon in as a nomination.
Madam Mayor, audience members, this has been a real tough decision for me, serving on this council now for a year. I went through this myself. I tried to be appointed, and I went before the council, and that was my first time ever doing something like this, and they didn't appoint anybody, so I had to run for the election. So I've had some sleepless nights.
I believe in God, I believe in prayer, and I've been on my knees a lot. I don't think there's anybody that's not capable of doing this position. I prayed about it. I've had many conferences. I just had one at Walmart Saturday for about 45 minutes in the auto parts aisle trying to get some antifreeze. Like I said, I think there's going to be some disappointment, but I hope everybody knows that I appreciate everybody that has put their name in the hat tonight, and I do appreciate everybody doing that. That's why I love this community. I would like to nominate Christina Scrivener for the appointment.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, I will now close nominations. The council has nominated Kim Nixon and Christina Scrivener. We will now take a roll call vote for each nominee. I will remind you again, you may only vote for one nominee. So for the nomination of Kim Nixon, Councilmember Pokencourt?
We can say nay or nay?
Yes.
Nay.
Mayor Wiggins?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Davies?
No.
Candidate Nixon received one vote. For the nomination of Christina Scrivener, Councilmember Pokencourt?
Okay.
Mayor Wiggins?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith?
No.
Councilmember Davies?
Yes.
Candidate Scrivener has received 3 votes and therefore is a newly appointed council member. Congratulations, Councilmember Scrivener. If you will please come to the front of the dais, our city clerk, Tori Marsh, will now...
Okay, so you just need to raise your right hand. I'm going to read a statement. You don't need to repeat after me. You just need to say yes. Okay. I, Christina Scrivener, do solemnly affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California. That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
I do.
Congratulations. And I'll have you sign this real quick.
While we are seating our new council member, we will take a short recess. And thank you, those of you that came just for this part, thank you very much. I'd like to call the meeting back to order, please. I know all of you have a lot to say to all the candidates, and I appreciate that, but we got a lot to do, so. And thank you all for coming, and thank you to all of the candidates. I appreciate what it takes, believe me, to put yourself out like this. So, thank you very much. At this time, I would like to have the consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine and non-controversial by city staff. Consent items will be considered first and may be approved by one motion if no member of the council or audience wishes to ask questions. Is there anyone from the audience that would like to pull a consent agenda item? Council?
Motion to approve consent as presented.
It's been moved. Do I have a second?
I second.
Moved and seconded. As presented, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Let the record show it was a 5-0 vote. Boy, I haven't got to say 5-0 in a while. All right, thank you. Audience, oral, and written communications. The City Council welcomes public comments on any item within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. We respectfully request that this public forum be utilized in a positive and constructive manner. Persons addressing the council should first state their name and area of residence. I can't read either tonight. And if you're representing an organization, and then if you want to direct anything to a specific agenda item, you should wait until that agenda item comes up. Are there anyone? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Linda Carhart. I live in Cummings Valley off of Banducci Road, and I just wanted to make a comment that I think that the city of Tehachapi should be very proud. These were incredible candidates, and the fact that 4 people have applied to be on the city council says a lot about the city of Tehachapi. So I'm very happy that Christina was given the job, but I read everybody's resumes, I looked at everybody's application, and I was really impressed. So what a great city, and thank you to all the people who did apply to be a candidate. It's wonderful.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience? Okay, with that, we will move on to number 6.
Madam Mayor, I need to recuse myself because I'm an employee of Brenda Strong Incorporated.
All right. And while he is making his way out, are there any questions from the audience concerning disbursements and bill for RSI Petroleum for February? Council?
Motion to approve?
Have a motion, do I have a second?
I second.
Been moved and seconded to approve. All in favor say aye. Aye. Let the record show, well, no? Any noes? No. Let the record show it's a 4-0 vote. Fiscal year in 2019 financial report.
Honorable Mayor, Wiggins and council members, Hannah Chung, Finance Director. The item before you is presentation of financial report fiscal year end 2019. The city's financial transactions for the fiscal year 2018-19 are now audited, and the financial reports are completed. Actually, it was all done at the end of December. The reports included in this agenda are comprehensive annual financial reports, also known as CAFR in a short term, independent accountants report on agreed open procedures applied to appropriations limit worksheets, statements of audit standard 114, and independent auditors report on internal control and other matters based on an audit of financial statements. Continued from fiscal year 2017-18, the city submitted 2018-19 CAFR, which is financial report, to Government Finance Officers Association for Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting Award. The city received the award for the 2017-18 year-end report. Today, we have our auditor, Brad Benland, from VLF accounting firm, here to present the audit report.
All right, thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. My name is Brett Van Lant. I'm a partner with Van Lant and Fankennel. We conducted the audit for the city's financial statements for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2019, and we have issued our reports for that fiscal year end. I have a kind of a brief presentation on the audit process, and if at any time throughout the presentation just ask questions, feel free. It's kind of brief and just kind of is an overview of what we do. So the audit process is broken off into kind of 2 different parts. We have the preliminary audit field work. This is where we are evaluating the city's internal controls over financial reporting, and there's a risk assessment process that goes into that, where we are evaluating if there could be any material misstatements to the city's financial statements. Part of that process, we're required to gain an understanding of the internal controls over financial reporting, looking at various processes, cash receipts, cash disbursements, payroll, and any other significant audit areas that is based on our judgment. How we do this, we review specific transactions, observe different processes, how things are done by city personnel, talk to different city personnel throughout the different departments, and kind of do an overview of internal controls. The second process, part of the audit, is the year-end audit fieldwork. This is where we are actually testing the balances in the financial statements. That process is also based on our judgment, based on the types of transactions that the city has. Part of that process, we are confirming revenues that the city receives, testing transactions after year end to make sure that they're recorded in the proper period, and an overall evaluation that the amounts are properly disclosed. There's several reports that are issued as part of our audit. Hannah talked about all of them. The most significant, obviously, is the audit report. That's the opinion on the financial statements. There's also a report on internal controls. This is if we identify material weaknesses, significant deficiencies in financial reporting, it would be disclosed there. There's a report on the city's calculation of the appropriations limit. And there's also a letter that's a required communication with City Council. There's a single audit report that will follow shortly. That's a compliance testing of the city's grants. And that report is required to be issued by March 31st. So it's still ongoing at this point. So our audit report on the financial statements has different sections describing our responsibilities as auditors. The first part of the report basically describes that these are management's financial statements, and the responsibility relies on them to present the information. Our responsibility is to audit the information and express an opinion. We are not providing absolute assurance that the financial statements are fairly presented. We're providing reasonable assurance based on our testing. It talks about the different audit standards that we're required to follow, and describes that our procedures involve judgment based on our risk assessment of the financial reporting. The city's financial statements received an unmodified, which is a clean opinion, meaning that there were no material departures from generally accepted accounting principles, and that the financial statements are fairly stated. We also have limited procedures that we perform for the various required supplementary information. This is the management's discussion and analysis, budgetary schedules, and also pension reporting. So the audit report describes our requirements over that portion of the financial statements. And then again, also the supplementary information is an in relation to opinion, meaning that the other supplementary information is fairly presented in accordance with the basic financial statements. Just some kind of key figures from your financial statements. GASB 68, which is an accounting standard that was implemented several years ago regarding the net pension liability. As of June 30, 2019, the net pension liability is approximately $4.4 million. One good thing about that, it actually went down this year. It's been going up every year since it's been implemented, so that's a positive note. Going forward, a lot of the reasons are based off of changes in return on investments from CalPERS, different things like that, but anytime that number goes down, it's a positive thing. the city doesn't have a whole lot of control over that number. It's based off of actuarial information, longevity of life, and past service that's already been committed. So it's considered an unfunded liability, but it's really, there's not a whole lot the city can do aside from pay the CalPERS payments as they go forward. Fund balance in the general fund increased about 1.3 million compared to the prior fiscal year. It's a positive direction. And the unrestricted fund balance in the general fund is approximately 90% of the 18-19 expenditures, which it's a little more than 10, almost 11 months of reserves in your general fund. And just for comparative purposes, GFOA best practices, GFOA is the Government Finance Officers Association, has a recommendation of a minimum of 2 months. So kind of shows you where you're at with where the minimum best practices are. The report on internal control over compliance, report over internal control on the financial reporting and compliance has different information listed in that report as well. That report is, we're not expressing an opinion on the city's internal controls. It's if we identify significant deficiencies, material weaknesses, they would be reported there. And these are significant deficiencies and material weaknesses over financial reporting. And we did not identify any of those, and so we have nothing to report for that. Again, the agreed upon procedures report, it's a required by the California Constitution that the city have that done each fiscal year over the appropriations limit calculation. The city's well under the limit. It's kind of a formality at this point. SAS 114 letter, this is a required communication by the auditors directly to the city council. This is one of the letters that you were provided, and it talks about different parts of the financial statements, sensitive disclosures, bringing those to your attention specifically, that some of these are based on estimates, and if we had any difficulties or disagreements with management, it would be reported there as well. We did not have those difficulties or disagreements, and any other audit findings or issues that would have come about, we would have reported those there. The letter is a standard letter because we didn't have any modifications to it, so it's informational at this point. The audit process is a lot of work on both parties, the city and the auditors. So I would just like to thank city staff for their assistance in giving us all of the information to conduct the audit and makes it for a smooth process. So I'd like to thank Hannah and her staff. And if you have any questions on the financial statements, the audit process, I'm happy to answer those.
Are there any questions or comments from the audience concerning this? Council? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Number 9, public hearing. Finance Director?
So now you need to open the hearing.
Yes, I'm sorry. At this time, I would like to open the public hearing to discuss the annual public transit claim for transportation development.
Mayor Regan and council members, again, Hannah Chang, Finance Director. The agenda before you is a public hearing and proposed resolution dealing with transit needs within the city. We go through these every year because it is required. As part of the annual public transit claim for Transportation Development Act, in short, TDA funds, it is necessary to conduct a public hearing. The City of Tehachapi provides transit services that are ride through current regional transit utilizing 2 buses. The bus services are Monday through Saturday. The time varies between Monday through Friday and the Saturday. The dial ride services are available within the city limits as well as between the city and the certain areas of the county. The current one-way fares are general public, we charge $2, and disabled, seniors, and youth, we charge $1 per ride per person, and children under 4 are free. And when comparing 2018-19 operations to 2017-18 fiscal year, the ridership decreased 10%, whereas total cost increased 4%. That was the kind of double whammy in a bad way. Because the ridership decreased and the total cost increased, the cost per ride increased to 16%, which is $47.77 per ride per person. So TVA requires the city to meet a 10% fare box ratio in order to receive transit funds. Attaining a 10% ratio has been such a challenging for the city's dial ride transit operation. So you know, this is not only City of Tehachapi's problem. This is all dial ride rural transit service as a whole, very much challenging issue. And the fare box ratio in 2018-19 was 2.3%. The difference was made by general fund subsidy, which was $21,000. If city does not meet that threshold, city is not allowed to use TVA money, which happened to be this year, 2018-19-20, have $500,000. So in that, using that $500,000, we will pay transit service first, and then whatever the money left over will be used for street and road maintenance. So city is required to adopt a resolution annually providing that there are no areas within the city with unmet public transit needs which could be reasonably met. It is, the reasonably met is the point by expansion of the existing system or establishment of a new system in order to receive Article 4 and Article 8 funds. The resolution also authorized the city manager to execute and file claims for TVA apportionment and allocate for 2019-20. The public hearing notice was published in the Tehachapi News on January 22nd, 2020. The fiscal impact is, like as I mentioned, the city will receive $496,118 to be exact in fiscal year 2019-20. And so staff recommends council to adopt a resolution finding that there are no unmet transit needs that are reasonable to meet within the city.
Thank you. Were there any written communications?
None were received.
All right, thank you. Are there any comments from the public during this public hearing considering this? If not,
Is there a minimum size vehicle that we have to use? Could we downsize the vehicle to save money, or is it just?
No, because this vehicle has to accommodate disabled people. No, I don't think we can downsize any more than side roads a few times, and no.
There was discussion at one point at the current council of governments regarding rural areas that can't meet the fare box ratio. We're one of just about every city that can't meet it. Discussing other items like Uber or Lyft that could replace it. Have you had any of those discussions? Was it the subject broached at all to do something besides having an empty bus ride around town that we pay for at $47 a rider because it's not full?
So there will be a many, we absolutely consider Uber. First of all, the Uber, so there are a lot of, the tests these drivers need to be done. And we do not have control over Uber. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
And second of all, the Uber transit service cannot accommodate disabled, people, so that cannot happen. And I'm not sure if federal funds will allow Uber service for the authorized transit. That I have not checked. So.
Thank you. Just trying to think if there's another way to do this. All right, thank you.
Any more questions or comments?
Yeah, I work in Mojave, and I know they built that transit bus stop there, and they're still working on it. And where they moved it to, it's just not going to be it's going to be tough for the people to get to. It's kind of not in the middle of town. So I think they're going to shoot themselves in the foot, myself, to use the East Coast Transit District. They built this great thing the county did, but I think it's in the wrong part of town. I just don't think it's going to be utilized. I think it's spending money that they shouldn't have to spend.
And this $48 per person ride is not all actual transit related, but also overheads. And because we utilize about $40,000 a year federal transit money, the requirements and reportings are tremendous that we have to follow. So because it's a federal money, and Jay can attest to for me about what kind of paper trail and reporting that we have to do, regardless of size of the money.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions from the council?
Yeah, I have another question for you. With today's economy, everything's going really well. Do we see a share of the riders go up or down when it's good or bad economy? Do we see any changes in that?
Well, for this year, as the report stated, the ridership on the dollar bus has actually gone down. So what does that reflect? It's hard to say.
Everyone's got it right.
People are, fully employed, and they can afford to purchase a car, maybe. This is a tough one. Every year we go through the same scenario. I appreciate the comments from Uber and others. I know Hannah and Jay and Corey and I have queried the county regional transit is, what's the name of the current regional transit? We work with them hand in hand, and this is tough for every community in the county. But the state requires us to have a public hearing to test whether or not the city of Tehachapi has any unmet transit needs. So that's what this public hearing is about, and any comments from the public, written or oral, are also taken into consideration. But at the end of the day, the state will not grant us the TDA money, which is nearly $500,000, unless we meet all the unmets, and then you adopt this resolution so that we can move forward. So it's a tough one. It's a huge subsidy. When you're paying nearly $50 per rider, and you're only charging $1, and you're subsidizing it with the general fund, that's tough. But there are people that need this transportation, right? If you're disabled, if you're young, if you're old, you don't have the ability to get your doctor's appointment, so on and so forth. It's something that we need to do, and we're required to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So last year we had 5,730 people rode. Actually times 2, that's the county and the city total. So without this program, these over close to 1,200, 12,000 people not able to go places that they need to go.
And this is a perfect form of partnership between the city and the county of Kern. If the city were to go it alone, our costs would double, dare I say, right? Because we'd have to own and maintain a bus. We'd have to own and maintain, all the systems that go with that, the bus driver or drivers, so on and so forth. So we're very thankful for the partnership that we have with the county.
Are there any other questions or comments? If not, I'm going to close the public hearing. Call for the question.
Motion to approve on staff's recommendation that there are no unmet needs that are reasonable to meet.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded as presented by staff. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let the record show it was a 5-0 vote. Assistant to the city manager's report.
I don't know, Mayor Wiggins and council members, first, my apologies, is the reason why you had the amended agenda. For some reason, this got trapped in my email inbox, and with good news should come confetti and balloons when you get this stuff in your email, and somehow that didn't happen. So we got it after the normal agenda comes out, but it is good news. I do bring you good news this evening. In the wake of the PSPS events, the Public Safety Power Shutoffs that we experienced back in October of 2019, administered by Southern California Edison as a wildfire mitigation measure. As we prepare for those events, the city leased several portable generators and contracted with electricians to ensure the city's water and wastewater systems continue to operate without power. Thanks to this planning effort, the effort by our Public Works Department, those services were uninterrupted during the power outages. Generator rental costs for the month of October, because we kind of prepared well in advance and kept them around just in case more happened, total about $6,600, a little more than that. In the fall of 2019, the Governor's Office of Emergency Services, or Cal OES, made grant funding available to municipalities to strengthen our resiliency and infrastructure to withstand PSPS events, which are expected to continue in the near future. The City of Tehachapi requested a total of $360,149 to purchase the following. One 300-kilowatt generator, which will power the booster pumps to the freshwater storage tanks or power another freshwater well for pumping purposes, and 125-kilowatt generator to provide standby power to sewer lift station or to be used as a portable solution to power water wells in the event of multiple water well power outages. We do have a couple of generators as well, and then we ran these other two, so this would replace the need for the other rentals. The estimated cost for these from Herc Rentals in Bakersfield total about $330,000. That included $7,400 in transportation costs, and also an estimated $30,000 or so in labor and materials required to equip all the sites with an electrical tail in order to be able to plug a generator in. So that standby generator ready wiring is going to cost a little as well. The good news is we were informed on February 20th that we received $300,000 from Cal OES for these purchases and resiliency efforts under the PSPS Resiliency Allocation Program. The details and condition of the grant eligible activities are included in the attachments. So the fiscal impact, the City of Tehachapi, following the signing of the notification of subrecipient allocation, will issue a request for the proposals for the previously mentioned equipment needs and services. The remainder of the costs, which are currently estimated just over $60,000, will be either included in the mid-year budget adjustment or budgeted in the 2021 five-year budget, which we presented to Council in June of this year. So at this time, staff would like to thank the Governor's Office of Emergency Services for accepting this proposal and recommends that the Council agree to the terms of the notification of subrecipient application attached and authorize the mayor to sign. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Are there any questions from the audience? Council?
Yahoo!
Yeah.
Money, we'll take it, absolutely.
Where's the balloons and the confetti?
I know, right?
Oh, I have one.
Yes.
If you have a medical need, will these generators at all help people?
No, these are just for our infrastructure, so our water, wastewater, freshwater operations. So those are
Get up there.
those are more of a. I know Southern California Edison has different programs to sign up with, and they've got baseline, kind of medical baseline customer lists that they encourage folks to sign up with in case backup power supplies and that kind of thing. I know when we had the event, we had some folks at the Vineyard Church were nice enough to open up and allow people to plug in who didn't have a backup power supply. I know there's a lot of folks went to the hospital and sat in the waiting room and plugged in, and that sort of thing, which creates all kinds of different issues. So yeah, those are more of your home house generator power supply. These are 300 kilowatts, 125 kilowatts. These are the big ones meant to power our infrastructure, and that's what this whole grant program was centered around, infrastructure resiliency, because these events are expected to continue in the near future as the grid gets hardened and updates continue.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Did we vote on that? We need a motion.
Make a motion that we accept, I'm sorry, I lost my place on the thing here. I was reading, that we make a motion to accept this that's been noted by the staff.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, as presented by staff. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let the record show it's a 5-0 vote. Development Services Director reports.
Honorable Mayor and council members, the first item I have for you tonight is the second reading and adoption of an ordinance amending ordinance number 1702-740 and Tehachapi Municipal Code section 1504160. As a reminder, we are currently enforcing, as state law requires, the 2019 California Building Code. We adopted those in December and are utilizing those now. Each cycle that we go through every 3 years or so, Kern County adds additional county-specific regulations to the California Building Code, and we tend to adopt those for consistency purposes. So tonight this is the second reading of that adoption process, and I think we've talked about it like 5 times now. So with that, my recommendation is that you adopt, and with the city attorney's blessing, I'm not going to read this entire thing, that the city council adopt by title only an ordinance of the city council of the city of Tehachapi adopting ordinance G8866 of the Board of Supervisors of the County of Kern. For all those chapters amended and listed there in my staff report. And then it results in amending section 1 of ordinance number 740 of the city of Tehachapi and Tehachapi Municipal Code section 1504160. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the audience? Council?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, moved and seconded, as presented by staff. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let the record show it was a 5-0 vote.
Madam Mayor, welcome Mrs. Scrugger to the board. Is this something that you need to recuse yourself from because it's through the county? No.
No.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Thank you, Mike. I will be sure to take our legal counsel's advice and recuse myself whenever.
Okay, I do it every week, so I just want to make sure that we're all on the same.
There may come a time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Very good question, Mr. Davis. If I may I just add to that slightly as it came up. Mr. Schroeder and I have done a lot of research. We've hired independent attorneys to look into it. We've shared that information with Ms. Scribner, and there may come a time, like with the RSI with you, but there's nothing on the agenda tonight that is a red flag at all.
I'm not saying nah. I'm just saying, I just want to make sure.
I'll get kicked out every once in a while too.
I just wanted to come back at us later.
Thank you. I did pursue a legal opinion as well before I put my name in the hat and determined the same legality that was presented by your team here. So I think as anyone that's invested in the community in many different ways, we'll find times where it's appropriate for us to recuse ourselves, and I'm happy to do so.
Okay, our team.
Thank you.
Good question.
Okay, number 12.
Honorable Mayor and council members, the second item I have for you tonight is also the second reading and proposed adoption of an ordinance amending ordinance number 694 and section 1308020 regarding our water entitlement use policy. Again, this was presented in the last meeting to you alongside with a comprehensive review of our water and sewer systems and our water and sewer connection fees. As a reminder, the modification that we're suggesting to the water entitlement use policy has 2 primary provisions. The first is that the policy as it stands now from 2007 is limited to being applied to residential development only, and staff has recommended that you guys apply this to all development because all development is consuming water in the city of Tehachapi, and we therefore need to have a water use policy. We need to have the entitlement fee or the water rights condition against those developments, so they're bringing their fair share of water to the city or the funds necessary to supply water to them. And then the second primary modification is a reduction in the statutory minimums in this ordinance. Again, the original minimum was a half acre foot per single family house. Our more recent numbers indicate that we now, following the major drought conditions, use on average a third of an acre-foot of water per single-family house, and so we need to reflect that accurately in this ordinance modification. And so with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions for anyone who wasn't around for the more extensive presentation, but my recommendation is that you adopt by title only an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Tehachapi amending ordinance number 694 in Tehachapi Municipal Code, section 1308020, pertaining to water rights and water entitlement fees. Thank you. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the audience? Council? Entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion that we approve the second reading and adoption of the ordinance amending ordinance number 694, Tehachapi Municipal Code, section 13.08.020.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Moved and seconded as presented by staff. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The record show it was a 5-0 vote. City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor Wiggins. I want to congratulate Christina Scribner for her position on the City Council. I look forward to working with Ms. Scribner on the very serious and important business that we have for the City of Tehachapi in this community. So welcome, Christina. And then also want to say thank you to the other three candidates. The quality of candidates that you had tonight, I would not want to be in your seat. Those four individuals are amazing people with a giant heart and that just want to help us move forward. So I want to thank all four candidates and congratulate Christina. A couple things I want to talk about tonight, and I'm going to let Corey take the lead on this, but two awards that we've recently received through CalEd, which is California Economic Development, for two specific projects in the city of Tehachapi. So Corey, if you could, the council and the audience know about these two recent achievements.
Yeah, we received 2 awards of merit from the California Association of Local Economic Development, or CalEd. These were for a pair of projects, the first being 228 West Tehachapi Boulevard, which is the World Wind and Solar headquarters, as a collaboration, kind of a public-private collaboration effort that Jay and his team were involved in as well. Nikki and Buddy Cummings and Russ Johnson of Mountaintop Holdings LLC. That project went through 4 or 5 different ideas. They'd come in and we'd say, yes, this sounds great, and we'd be excited, and they'd run the numbers and say that might not work. And really what it came down to was finding out what was best for downtown. And I think really we hit a home run with not only the look of the building, it's a beautiful project, but really what that's added to downtown, and having a business there that brings in trainees and helps the other businesses around it with the impact. And we've seen a lot of impact in terms of returns from the other businesses, the restaurants. And so really a great project, great collaboration, great teamwork on that one. So really excited, and that project as well is going to be the topic of discussion at a session at the CalEd conference in March in Sacramento. So I'll be taking part in that session, talking about reuse of your assets, basically. So it's great that we're going to continue to kind of have people look at Tehachapi as a best practice. And the second was in the programs category for the Tehachapi Neighborhood Improvement Project, which was spearheaded by the Tehachapi Police Department. It really had a lot of city departments involved, obviously PD, and the work that Chief Krager and officers Aaron Price, Tony Vanelli did a great job on code enforcement, law enforcement side, economic development, and myself, Don Marsh with Public Works, Key Budge with community engagement. I mean, we were out there. I think Chief and I probably loaded like 5 washers and dryers ourselves. I mean, it was really get your hands dirty kind of work, but it made a huge impact in that neighborhood. The returns we've seen from the neighborhood watch group and the law enforcement side, reduction in some crimes, the reinvestment that people are putting into their properties, and you pull the permit numbers and you see patio covers and new windows and the stuff that people, once we got out there and helped them start cleaning up, we heard weed whackers all over the neighborhood, and people were just out there doing stuff. So it's really made a big impact in that neighborhood. So it's a great project, and we're happy to continue it, and just really happy that it's being recognized from the benefits it took to the community and economic development. So thanks.
Thank you, Corey.
Just a comment on that. It's really cool that we're able to take old buildings instead of tearing things down, that they're repurposed. This is a great example. The police department is another example that's just using things that we have here, make them better, and they make them a very attractive building that's usable, earthquake-proof, or up to earthquake standards. So I think it's really good for all of us. And like you see, you're not only seeing the neighborhoods improving, but you're seeing people come in that are taking homes and instead of leveling a house, they're really improving it because there's a market for the downtown area where they're really taking older homes and just, we call it flipping or whatever you want, but they're doing a really nice quality job. It's not just paint and do carpet in a house. These are homes that are seeing a difference and make a difference in the neighborhood. Then you see the three houses on either side spruce up. It really does make an impact.
And I didn't mean to leave out Councilman Smith, who was also very involved in loading fences. He became the unofficial shopping cart relocation truck. He would throw it back in the truck and take it back to Albertsons or wherever. So a lot of sweat on your part as well. So we thank you for that.
It's fun when you're out there.
Thank you. The second thing I want to talk about is our finance department and their role. As we talked about, we received a comprehensive annual financial report several weeks ago, but recently we received the Government Finance Officers Association, GFOA, granted us their highest form of recognition for the Distinguished Budget Presentation. What does that mean? That means how we present the budget to the City Council and to the public. It is your money, but it's the presentation of the budget. It's a very simplistic form. So I'd like Hannah to talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, thank you. I am very pleased to announce this award. Our department has been working toward this award for the last many years. So this doesn't happen overnight. So we have to gather so many informations, and we structured our budget different ways, and so we build our spreadsheets and this way and that way, and gather a lot of statistical information. So finally, this year we submitted, and having some doubt in our mind as like the category or the criteria for this budget documents award, to get this award is tremendous. So after I submit with my staff, it was late night at 7 o'clock. That's the last day we supposed to submit. And we were working on, and we were very kind of discouraged, thinking, oh my God, I think I need to wait for another year. But then we got the award. So this is, they consider this as highest form of recognition in government budgeting, governmental budgeting, based on GFOA. So GFOA is the, like I mentioned, it's the Government Finance Officers Association. So they do publish a lot of recommendations and practices and all that. So this is all the United States, not only cities. GFOA members are not only cities, schools, there are states, there are any municipal governments, and the special districts are the member. And so this is continued from the award we received last year, Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. And I would like to give big kudos to my staff that they worked with me, and long hours and lots of headaches, but we pulled it through. So I'm very pleased to announce this award. And from now and forward, we are planning to submit our financial report as well as budget every year for awards. So we may not announce this big for the future, however, it means a lot for the first time awards recipient.
Sure does. So the, oops, sorry.
I have a comment, or you want to,
Well, I was going to mention, these awards that we're talking about tonight, they're not just a certificate on the wall. They're not just something we're pumping ourselves up. This is a true reflection of what it takes to create and publish a budget that meets a higher standard than we were meeting before. So this is a reflection of getting better at what we do, and that's what we push ourselves to do. in every department.
Just a comment, I would invite the local newspapers and Key to make this a little bit more out in the public. There was a little thing in the Tehachapi News and next to the police report, just in a section this big. If we could get a little bit more light on this, because this might be an area where it's budgeting and that, it might be boring to some, but in today's world of transparency, when people are bearing down on governments and cities, are you reporting accurately? And we're doing everything we can to make sure it's easy to read and digest. I would invite the news to again try to make a nice big article about this award, not just because it's an award, but because it reflects on our personnel here who are so dedicated to make things. We just had a great review from the auditors, so it doesn't happen by mistake. And you see so many cities around the state that are struggling to do just to keep up with the requirements, and we're doing that and meaning it very well. So I'd just like the public to really get another look at this award out there, whatever we can do to let people know that this is a very high award on a national level. So that's my spiel. Thank you so much.
And this budget book and the financial reports, of course, those documents are available on the city's website and the finance department.
Thank you.
I have a comment. When that book came out, I took it home and I started looking at it and I was confused. So my wife is an accountant. She does accounting for the state. And we spent many hours going over it because I wanted to know it. When I ran for city council, everybody goes, you need to know what's going on in your city with the budget because you're responsible as a city council member. So I take that really to heart, and I really appreciate Hannah and your team, what you do with my wife by my side, helping me out to understand debits and credits, and you know, I know if I have money, if I have checks, I know I have money, but I know it don't work that way. So, but I just want to compliment your team on the good job, the great job that you're doing, and appreciate everything that you do.
Thank you.
Do you have any more?
Yes.
Tehachapi. What is Tehachapi? Tehachapi is a new communications platform that Kiva is going to talk about a little bit. But as we have podcasts, people are starting to listen to those. We've now created yet another a slice of the communication pie because we want people to, if they want information, we want them to know that we have information that we're willing to share. So Kiva could share that with us a little bit.
Absolutely. Today we launched Tehachapi. It is a podcast. Corey Costello, myself, both have a radio and journalism news background. We bring that to the table. We bring Greg in. We're talking about the topics that are going on. So in our episode 1, that is available on Libsyn right now, we talk about the last council meeting. We do a quick council wrap, and then we jumped into the public safety power shutoffs and the town hall, and I interviewed Senator Grove. So we've got sound from Senator Grove, sound from Mayor Wiggins, who was one of the speakers, and also Edison. We bring information and we provide it in a podcast format to the community. When you look at news stations, it's 10-second sound bites on a story. They might give you a 2-minute package, but it's filled with 10 seconds at a time. We wanted to be able to expand on that and get all the information that's available to the public. Podcasting is growing. It's reaching a younger demographic. So as Greg said, it's another piece of the communications pie. We want to reach people through our social media. We want to reach people through our relationships with our local medias and give people choices to get information. We know that more than 60% of our community are commuters. They're going to Antelope Valley, they're going to Bakersfield. We picked a format in this conversation style that's about 30 minutes. and just long enough for you to get all that information on your trip down to Baco. So we put it up on our social media, and it'll be available on iTunes and Spotify and some other platforms. It just takes a few more days for that, but it's actually available. You can listen to it, and matter of fact, we keep interviewing people for future topics, so we're excited about it.
Awesome.
Thank you, Keith. I want to assure everyone we're not turning into a radio station, but certainly we are going to spend a little bit of time recording podcasts and put them out for you to listen on that particular subject. And if you think about it, there's so many topics that we could talk about. Our infrastructure, our budget, our volunteers, all the things that we have going on. It just could go on and on and on. So I think it's going to be a really, really cool tool in our tool chest, in our communications tool chest. So looking forward to it. So thank you, Keith and Corey, for that. And the last thing is, I'm going to let Jay talk about this a little bit, but we were just notified that the city of Tehachapi received a nearly $1 million grant for the paving of Pinion Street between the Heritage Oaks neighborhood and Dennison Road to stop the air, or stop the particles, the dust, and all those things from the 16-year-old driver that's going way too fast down this dirt road and causing harm. It's a CMAQ Congestion Mitigation Air Quality Grant that we've been working on for some time. So I've almost said everything, right, Jay? So why don't you go ahead and take it from here?
Yeah, I actually was concerned that we might be stealing Councilmember Smith's thunder on this one, but yeah, I was actually inspired a couple of years ago by our colleagues in Ridgecrest who successfully used this grant application program for paving an unpaved street. They're not the only ones who have done that, but their method for going about it was successful, so I said, you know, this one's been on our list for 10 years, maybe longer. Since I was a consultant engineer to the city, I was aware that the city was trying to figure out a way to get this road pushed through for circulation reasons. So put the package together, very pleased. We scored very well. I think we got the second highest application in Kern County in this cycle. And so $1 million. And just timeline-wise, the expectation is to design next year, perhaps earlier, but that's the date I'm going to give you is next spring and summer, with construction expected in spring, summer 2022. So that's my timeline. I've got some serious issues to deal with. It's not easy to, well, it is easy to spend $1 million, but this is not an easy project. There's a lot of work that goes involved. So anyway, happy to, it's 36 feet wide too. So two 12-foot vehicle lanes and then paved shoulders on either side is the kind of concept. So it's just a 2-lane road. It's not a big finished off deal, but a big improvement for everybody that lives in that area, especially in terms of access to school. So anyway, yeah, pleased to announce that. Thank you.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Thank you, and we have a lot of projects this summer, so I'm going to try to get Dawn and Jay together, and maybe at the next meeting, we'll have a similar round of projects that we have in the queue for this spring, summer. Paving outlet lots, the rail corridor project, sidewalks along the West Park area, so many projects. So we want to make certain that the council and the audience and the residents of this community know about all the projects that we have in the queue for the calendar in the next 6 months. So maybe we'll try to do that next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Davies?
That sounds great. I really appreciate that, but unfortunately, I'm not really. That's been my way to get home from fireworks, is on that dirt road. Nobody knows about it, so it's going to slow me down now. Appreciate everything that everybody's done. We've had a we have great people assisting with us in the city. I love having, my wife doesn't allow me to go grocery shopping anymore. I stay at home because I have meetings at City Mart and different stores here in town with what's going on in the community, and I do appreciate it. I think it's an honor that I'm up here, and I appreciate everybody's support. Appreciate all the staff and everything they do, and I appreciate how beautiful our city looks, and I'm proud to be part of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Smith?
Just kudos for staff when they have these projects like Pinion. come before Cog. We're on that board. It just makes it really smooth when all the paperwork's done right. The competition is very keen for these funds throughout the county. And when you've got a project that's everything's ironed out and it makes sense, you'll get the funding. So thank you very much.
If I can keep from coughing, I want to really commend Hannah and her staff. And if any of you have ever tried to read a budget report from a computer budget printout, forget it.
I have one more, I'm sorry.
Okay, it's impossible. And to have a clear-cut report in front of you with charts and graphs and everything, it's just amazing, because otherwise, none of us would understand it. I bet your whole budget is 2 feet tall if you printed it out. But anyways, we're really proud of you. Go ahead.
There was one other thing I wanted to have staff consider. With all the tree trimmings that people have had and we've had to take out of the parkways, but we've got a lot of brush on private property in the city that some people just can't afford to get it out. If we could look into having a tree, a day where we take people could call in and sign up for chipping it, where we had the crew go out and if they could get the limbs to the curb and we could have it chipped for them. Otherwise, this summer, we're going to have not only weeds, but we're going to have a lot of limbs stacked up in yards. And it's going to be I think it's going to be a fire hazard that maybe some people can't afford to take care of. Just see if we could do it where we could have one day a month like we do with the hazardous waste. Maybe we could have a day where people call in and say, I'd like to be on your list. I've got a bunch of shrubs, or not shrubs, but tree limbs that fell off during the storm. It's going to be pretty obvious because they're stacking up around town. And there's some empty lots around town, like on Curry and D, that the tree's fallen over, but it's an empty lot. I don't know who owns it, but that's going to be a huge fire hazard this summer. So maybe we could get something for our residents.
Don and I will discuss it.
That wouldn't cost an arm and a leg. A few guys with the truck and the chipper.
Try to create.
We have a chipper, right?
We don't, but we're renting.
You can rent one.
We're renting a chipper for the limbs that we've been collecting over the last month or so. But Don and I can discuss this, and what we want to do is potentially roll out a simple program that could be utilized for residents. But let Don and I put our heads together and we'll talk about it and get back to you.
Thank you.
We picked up a tremendous amount of branches. I mean, a lot.
Yes.
And we're in the process of shipping those out right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Just a couple other things. When you were talking about Pinion and how great that would be for the school kids, when I have to go sometimes pick up kids and go by that road, I have a heart attack every time because every 16-year-old kid that has a pickup in Tehachapi wants to see how fast they can go down that road. And my 15-year-old grandson actually told me today, but it's okay because there's not too many kids that walk and we kind of look out for them. You know, so anyways, that's wonderful. And I also wanted to add Tehachapi to the list of cities that are sending their condolences to the city of Porterville, who not only lost their library, but lost 2 of their finest firemen in the process of trying to save it. So I think that we all need to remember that and remember them in our prayers.
Mayor Reeds, if I may, I did, per your request, I just found out late this evening, the city of Porterville is accepting donations of books, and I know you have a large amount of books, so we will be taking those out there, and if you'd like to get with me, we can donate. I think you had 300 or so books, but they are receiving books, so if anybody has any donations, they can bring those to City Hall, and we'd be happy to take them out to the city of Porterville. In their loss of the library and the 2 lives of the firemen. It's tragic, but a small part that we can do to help recover.
These are not my books. My brother has between 300 and 400 books, but thank God Kindle came out, or we might have 1,000, and he's trying to downsize. Anyways, that's great to know.
Wow, lots of stuff. Anyway, congratulations to Hannah and your staff. I know that's a lot of work. reading it was a lot of work. So I know that a lot went into that, and congratulations to you, Ms. Scrivener. We're glad to have you on board. I still see lots of road cleanup and tree cleanup, and we have flashing red lights. They're not on City Hall, but they're on the corner of Curry and Valley, and those are going to be taken care of. And that's about all I know that's happening in my district.
I just want to say that I'm sincerely humbled by this opportunity to serve our community. And I think that we've talked a lot about what a terrific staff the city has and what an amazing group of people came forward today to work with that amazing staff. And I don't think that was by coincidence. I think we have an amazing council here with really folks that have a deep interest in this community and have demonstrated that. And so I'm honored to serve with you. And I can't speak for everyone that's here, but I suspect that was their inspiration as well. And so I just hope that the staff that saw those folks that came forward tonight appreciate that it was in large part due to the work that you do that gives people inspiration to want to get involved and participate. So certainly was a big influence for me wanting to step forward. So I'm very excited about this opportunity and sincerely humbled that I was selected.
Thank you. I have one more thing. One more comment?
Okay. A comment on your comment. People come up to me and approach me about problems that they see, and then they're always apologetic about telling me about them. And I go, how am I supposed to know if you don't tell me? So please never hesitate, not 45 minutes perhaps, but never hesitate to approach us and let us know what you're feeling or what your concerns are, because that's what our job is. So that was just a side comment.
If there are no other comments, this meeting will stand adjourned. Thank you.